welcome back to the LEC as the Mad Lion break their losing streak and come with a clutch victory today against Vitality. And with this one, they stay in the race for playoffs. Now, Elyoya, thank you so much for joining me today. Congrats on taking down Vitality. First question here, what was different today compared to the other weeks and what we've seen from Mad Lion so far?
I mean, I think today we went for an easier comp to execute, and also we were playing with no expectations. Like, I mean, I think no one expected much from us, so I think that helped a lot some of our players. And yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference.
All right, well, it was a huge difference in the whole game that you guys displayed and the playstyle you had. And I feel like the R5 Hoppy was one of the clutch pick here in Mad Lion's composition, which led you to get the Kia player of the game today. So could you talk me through the decision to pick Poppy last pick in red side? And also, why don't we see more of this champion, especially given the pool in the jungle right now?
I mean, I think it's because most of the times you have to pick jungle early, and there is just better blind picks in the jungle rather than Poppy. But in this game, since we had 5 pick for jungle, and it was a good champ here, it just felt good. I mean, I didn't even play this champ too much. I think we only played it on 1 or 2 scrims, but it was just too free of a Poppy game to let it go.
Well, another example that just playing without pressure and without expectations maybe was the key here for Mad Lions today. But honestly, the past few weeks, we have to be honest, they have been hard to watch on the side of Mad Lions. And when I see the performance you had today and the way you took down Vitality, I'm just wondering what allowed you to keep your spirit up maybe for the past weeks and not to be too defeated by the results you had?
I mean, if I'm honest, I think this is mostly on the coaching stuff. Like, if I talk for myself, I was feeling pretty defeated after, let's say, the Fnatic game. I felt like when it was our chance to prove that we are worthy of playoffs, and we kind of threw it away twice because we had the Excel game and Fnatic game. And in both games, I think we were in a really good spot of winning, and we didn't. So I felt a bit defeated after that. And yeah, it was hard for me since I really didn't feel like we deserved to go playoffs since we threw all of our chances. Like, it's not that much in our hands. If other teams won, then we are not here. So it feels really bad to have that feeling. So, and it mostly comes from the coaching staff, that they are always encouraging us that there is a chance that we have to stick to it and that we have to give it our best every day. So that's something that is on them.
All right.
I've got to say, this time I was weak, and weak or whatever, I felt really defeated, and yeah. But I mean, thanks to them, I could just hope.
I wouldn't call it being weak. I'm just calling it learning, maybe, and getting more experience as a player. And once again, props to the Mad Lions coaching staff to put you in the best conditions. Would you say that you have more hopes now in the rest of the Super Week, given the fact that you'll be playing Astralis and BDS for the last 2 games, 2 teams who have nothing to lose, not in playoffs contention anymore? What's the mindset for the next 2 days?
I mean, I think we're going to come even way more happier, since I think today's game was a really good game. We proved that we can be worthy of way more than we were showing previous weeks. So I'm feeling way more confident coming into these 2 days, and it's back in our hands more or less. Like, we did the harder thing. Now I think we still have to beat 2 really good teams, so it's still on us. We have to win. Like, there is no other option.
Well, I'm just happy to hear all this, and that this win was the moral boost you guys needed. Elyoya, thank you so much for the interview, and good luck on the rest of Super Week.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to say on this side of the studio, because Videos has a bedtime story for us. Time for a Mikyx revenge. Take it away, Videos.
There once was a boy kept locked in a cage, full of potential, yet empty of rage. He simply kept a list, 5 names met the page. He unclenched his fist, he must first set the stage. To cross off the names, he needed a clean sheet. Fortunately for him, there was an Excel spreadsheet. First on the list was just a fanatic, addicted to the classic, his consistency sporadic. With a snap and a snip, he thought, my opponents are doomed. But to his surprise, he was no longer immune. The next names on the list, known for their drafts. From the boys' perspective, they were nothing but laughs. The name felt confident as they hit the rift, but the quickness crossed that name off the list. With 2 down, the third made chase. He spoke with confidence, a smug look on his face. Battle brothers from bot, now enemies once more. A dying spark was his smugness when his face met the floor. Now only 2 on the list remain, a juvenile prankster and a megaphone for a brain. They can run, they can fight, but the boy will come. Mikyx is his name, and his list will be done.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That was amazing.
That was insane.
Wow. Great stuff by by Varus. Oh, this is great. And what a fantastic storyline. Mikyx versus his ex-team. And what is even more important, maybe, is the fact that XL can still lock playoffs with a win versus G2. They didn't lock earlier because SK was able to beat Rogue. So, I mean, the stage is set a little bit for Mikyx.
Oh, it definitely is, especially if he gets the win against G2, because then it feels even sweeter. Yes, you're not knocking G2 out, but that is all 4 players and grabs taken out. And then they make it.
Very, very impressive. All right, let's talk a bit about the matchup G2 versus XL and about the top lane BrokenBlade versus Finn. Nisqy, Finn is someone who had a bit of a rough year last year, I think it's safe to say, and he pulled out the Kled. But is there more to him than just his Kled pocket pick?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching Finn a lot, actually, and I feel like he's been doing pretty good this year. I mean, this split, especially with XL, and for me, where the focus is on this in this matchup is going to be in the mid lane. I just want to see how both mid laners perform, because I think if Caps just plays one of his Smurf games, or like where he plays really well, I think G2 will take it, but I think it's up to mid lane, yeah.
Definitely a question.
Will we get claps or craps is a very good question, because that'll impact the rest of the map. And we saw Finn just going back to a counter-picking top with the Kled. When I feel like when he gets counter-pick, he does well. I mean, I'll kind of ignore the Aurelia game so much when he plays into Jace and stuff like this, because he did struggle. But things like the Malphite, he has got quite a deep champion pool if you think about it, in terms of tanks, in terms of different kind of carries which teams don't see. And that's just another example of a champion which maybe Mad Lions haven't seen for a while, and they kind of forgot about as an Aatrox counter. It came out, it worked. I think we've got 2 very explosive top laners on our hands, and I think BrokenBlade has played so many different carries this split. Aatrox, Corki, Akshan, Akali, Yone top, Graves, Jace, Gwen, Tryndamere being meta. Both these top laners love counter picks and carries.
I mean, I gotta say, when I look at and I hear about the meta and stuff like that, and we're like, oh, it's stale or whatever, but then these guys come, and it's like, these are great assets to have on your team, right, Nisqy?
Yeah, I mean, I think having like a player like one of those 2 is like really good, because you can always counter them to go on 4-5, and even if they get banned out, then they can just pick one of their like 10-15 champions. So
yeah, and you can see how well it's facilitated by their drafts, right? You just look at G2's last 3 games of drafts. You've got a safe bot lane, you've got a roaming support, you've got again a roaming support. We saw the Leona from Treats earlier today, and then 3 carry top champions. So it's very obvious where they're playing towards. You give Caps a champion that like either he can pressure lane with, or he can roam in the early stages with, like Sylas, Ahri, Ryze on champions are going to carry later on. They're here to make plays happen in the early to mid game, right, Nisqy? So they want to move around the map.
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to see if Caps can just pick TF today. If it's not banned, I'd like to see him on it. And then if not, Ryze, LeBlanc, Syndra, one of those, I think, will help them for sure.
Yeah, I think it really shows what you just said about if Caps goes monster, then it's, you know, almost certainly a win. And you do see it, I think, reflected in the pick specifically. Going for the Ahri, such a playmaker. Going for the Sylas, on which he's had so much success throughout the years. Does it feel like that's what G2 needs right now?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what's working, kind of. I mean, let's look at the Misfits game. And yes, we can laugh about their game throwing leads and things like this, and the 12k, 13k, 14k gold lead. But that early game was phenomenal against Misfits. They had 2 inhibs at 18 minutes. That just goes to show how good they are at snowballing.
And we're going to cover the picks and bans right here on the desk. G2 versus XL coming right up.
So,
a game for all the marbles.
All the marbles.
Are you nervous?
Oh, no, not at all. This is kind of funny to me, actually. I just love being on the sidelines this time around, of course, similar to last year. But XL on the red side, we talked about top lane a little bit there. It does give them counter pick. Normally on red side, we tend to see counter picks for more so top and support, and then kind of AD, mid, and support, and jungle are mostly blind picked.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see first like what happens with TF, because I believe if it's open, I'm assuming Caps will pick it. And yeah.
Do you think the trade-off of giving them TF and picking Ryze is worth it?
I don't think it's worth it. I think when TF is in the game, like you need to play the game so much differently than if it was any other mid laner.
So even if you can push him in and you can kind of maybe match him on roams, TF is just way too powerful. I mean, early game is powerful. Having the ult up is always scary. Mid to late game, you can play over sides.
Yeah, and then like you need to book QSS or clans, and then you need to make sure to play really well in mid game, because if you make a mistake, he just ults and kills someone. So
yeah,
I want to see if they pick it or not, and if it's open.
Well, the good news is there's 4 AD carries banned, so we're not going to get a Jinx versus Aphelios game as we normally do when these champions are not banned. So maybe there's going to be some kind of Jhin picks on the early stages. Ezreal Karma comes to mind, Xayah Rakan, but TF's open. Nisqy, is it an insta-lock for Caps?
I hope he picks it. I mean, he's like one of the best TFs, I believe, in Europe, so I really hope he picks it here.
Looks like they're going to go. Oh, I wonder if G2's been scrimming Vitality when they locked that in. I mean, Vitality did the same thing. Insta-lock Diana, go Renekton, Yasuo on 2-3. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing, but things like Lee Sin are up with the Heck Room, Sin's Albans, Viego, Jarvan. I think maybe Finn's just teasing us a bit there with the Aatrox blind pick hover, because obviously last time that happened, he picked Kled into it. I don't think he'll be doing the same thing this time around. What are we expecting here? Maybe AD and jungle?
I think jungle, AD, or maybe jungle support. I'm not, okay, Ryze, okay.
Okay, so early rotation Ryze.
I mean, he could still go Yasuo mid, and it's pretty good into Ryze, so
okay.
I'm surprised, actually.
Even into the tank Ryze build, you think it works pretty well?
I think it does pretty well, yeah. He will still die to the combo.
And if you were Caps right now, would you be comfortable playing something like TF Diana just to get that pick?
I mean, I think it depends on the rest of the draft and of how they think, like how OP TF is for them. I believe, usually when I play TF, I don't really like to play it with the AP jungler, because then enemy just goes mercs and you don't really enjoy it as much.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Ryze Jarvan coming out. Not going to go for the Lee Sin for Markoon. So they know the enemy jungle matchup, but normally when you pick Jarvan, you're kind of scared of things like Thresh. Some kind of Thresh lane Lantern, maybe like an Ezreal Karma could hurt them a bit. We'll see if G2 decide to go for the Renekton Yasuo, because then they're also blinding top. So maybe, do you think when jungle's first picked and mid jungle's 1-2'd on red side, it's full top side for both teams?
Depending on bot lane, I think, because you can always just drop mid top or just pick one of them and then see with mid, because right now Caps has a lot of options. He can play mages like Orianna, Syndra, whatever, or he can also play the Yasuo side.
So they've gone for the Jhin, makes sense with 4 AD bans. Maybe Patrik fancies himself something like the Xayah, which we've seen him on previously. And I guess mobility is the aim of the game here, I feel like, because Jin's locked in great, but against Jarvan, maybe it needs a Thresh. But again, maybe Curtain Call is enough range to just play further away from...
Azir,
we're going to get Caps Azir. So talk to me about this mid matchup.
Okay, I mean, okay, I don't really know how it goes right now, but at least in the past, it used to be that Ryze can push early levels, but then around 4 or 5-ish, Azir starts to have enough damage to push the Ryze out of the lane. It works kind of like Orianna, but a bit slower in my opinion.
Okay, so scaling kind of mage.
Also, I think he opted into the Azir because he's against a Jarvan, so he wants a mid with a dash.
Minor thing I want to pick your brain on here. Is minion dematerializer important in this lane at all? For push, is Ryze going to go for it to get an early push? Maybe Azir to match it?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not going to see that.
No.
So we're going to get Gwen locked in for XL. That's going to be a top laner. So it's kind of full top side for XL, just AD picked up. I feel like with top bans here, XL are sitting pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I like XL draft more than G2 one for now.
Yeah, G2 is a bit confusing, don't you think? Because, you know, when you pick Diana first, you want to go double AD solo laners. Now you've already shown an Azir, and now your top laners are getting banned away. Because to me, Diana feels like a heavy top side champion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, like, usually when I play Azir, I don't really like to have like another AP on my team, because then it makes it so much easier for enemy to buy magic resist, and then you need to go void, and it delays your power sparks. So
yeah,
but let's see what G2 will go for top.
Smart by XL to ban away 2 AD tops, of course. That leaves things like Renekton, Camille, Akshan maybe for BrokenBlade, which we've seen previously. Something more mobile will always be good because you're against Jarvan Ryze, so the second you get jumped on, it's going to be very dangerous. Will G2 ban away something like Xayah here just to target 2 ADs? I know Patrik is a bit of a Draven player, but into Jhin it could struggle.
Rakan.
Okay, so expecting AD here?
I don't know what AD is even left here, actually.
I mean, you could go for things like Kai'Sa, Nautilus on 5. Yeah, that would make sense with your dive. Varus was a champion we saw in the early weeks of the LCK especially. Halo Blade, still the Lethality Varus was picked often, but then it just kind of fell out of the meta quite quickly when Aphelios Jinx were the priors.
I like poke Varus this game because he's against 3 squishes already. And it's pretty good into Azir.
Are you kind of scared of maybe the Diana jumping on the Varus, or are you just going to play so long range that it doesn't matter?
I think you just play max range with your Qs and it should be...
So both ADs doing a similar sort of thing in this game, I feel like, playing max range. Is Thresh worth picking up here is the question, into the Jarvan?
I don't think Thresh looks that good this game.
Akshan.
I feel like they want like a follow-up when Diana goes in, rather than...
That makes sense.
Like a Thresh. Maybe like a Leona or Nautilus, something like that.
We'll see what they blind pick, because that's an Akshan top for BrokenBlade. That's a lot of resources needed so he can keep up the push, because I feel like as Akshan, having top push is so important because then you can kind of roam around the map a bit, maybe move towards mid in the stealth form. No way.
I don't think we're going to be seeing a Sylas,
I'm
but
so confused by this draft.
G2's draft is so odd to me. I feel like with such a strong carry top, you have. It feels like you have a scaling mid, Tahm Kench bot.
I mean, I like XL draft way more than G2's.
I feel like Braum could be pretty good here for XL into the lane. Maybe even a range support like Karma could do pretty well. You know, Varus Karma, Varus Soraka, something like this range support to punish the Tahm Kench lane. Keep your bot push up and then try to punish the top side of the map.
Also, I feel like Ryze is pretty free this game to do whatever he wants, I feel like. Like, he can push without... Even if he gets ganked, he cannot really die to Diana, for example. Also, with paired with a Jarvan, it's really good.
Oh, we're gonna get Varus Yuumi. Oh my god. So, I don't think this is so much for the Varus, this is for the Gwen. This is definitely for the Gwen. Gwen Yuumi is gonna take over fights, Ryze Yuumi similarly. So, talk to me about the comps a little bit here, Nisqy, because I feel like we're talking about XL's comp being so strong because it feels like their lanes, their champs are just stronger overall. What is really G2's play here?
I think they just have to focus top lane, because I feel like if Gwen is even or has like 2 items, and the game is not like lost for XL, I believe they will just win with the Gwen Yuumi combo, because left comp cannot do much into Gwen.
Yeah, and the Diana doesn't have much to dive with her. I mean, you've got the Caps who could go in with stopwatch with an ult maybe to follow up, but the Jhin's playing max range, the Tahm Kench is there for safety, and Akshan is kind of like a wild card in their draft.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about G2 comp, so I'm going XL for this one.
It looks hard to play, I gotta say.
Does look quite difficult. We'll see if G2 can pull it off, but XL's comp does look a lot more stock standard meta.
And maybe that's what they want. You want to be comfortable, Caedrel, going into this game.
Definitely do.
For XL, they want to lock in those playoffs. A win over G2 would do it. G2, of course, also still wants to drive up in the rankings. You know, you want to have the best position going into those playoffs to make sure that you can do the best you can. We get some interesting drafts, but we'll see what happens in XL versus G2.
Welcome, everybody, to what very well could be the most important match of the weekend. G2 versus XL. Now, if XL win here, they're in playoffs. Woo. Hi, still Drakos, Guldborg. That's one of our crew. He just walked by the camera. He didn't know it was on. Happens to everybody. We're getting into game. The desk talked about it a lot. Nisqy called it out specifically. 2 items, anywhere near an even game state. Gwen Yuumi kills everybody. That's it. That's something we're going to have to keep track of. But when it comes to the early game, we need to pick where we want to put our focus. G2 going to make it easier for us now, though, as they are invading on the top side. But generally, I feel like Jarvan is someone I always want to watch when he's in game, because Caedrel's called it out a lot of times. I think generally, if you're a 0-0 Jarvan, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
You don't farm, you fight.
It's like the first 2 clears is the most pivotal clears from Jarvan. It's where you want to get something done. You want to be facilitating. It's not going to be, oh, I saw the enemy jungler gank, so let me just counter gank, or counter jungle myself rather. It's going to be about having the tracking down on Jankos, seeing what lanes you can attack. There's not the biggest setup in lanes, though. I think Nukeduck is the best one to set up for if you flash EW. But even then, Caps, if he plays around with the correct amount of range, he will be fine in that instance. I want to talk about that early game we had here, because we see Yuumi getting picked into Tahm Kench, and for the longest time ever, Yuumi has been so free into that champion. Like, it's literally just free auto attacks, free scaling. You get to become that menace on just a little parasite you have on top of the other members. Finn has started his ghost already.
Going in on BrokenBlade here. Obviously, skip and slash is just a ludicrously powerful ability. They've nerfed it multiple times now, but still very, very oppressive on the level 1. BrokenBlade gets some damage back, but overall, massively positive trade for Finn. Flash traded for Ghost, also super in favor of the Gwen.
And that brings us to our next matchup as well, because this is a lane where Akshan actually take control of the wave. You're AD, you get to be the one who's actually hitting them, because if Gwen steps up, well, she's just going to be taking multiple shots to her face. So Finn getting the flash blowed like that in the early game is actually quite crucial. It's really worth popping the Ghost. It's a longer cooldown on flash. You get to have Ghost up again to punish if BrokenBlade ever oversteps. And BrokenBlade want to be forward in this lane as well, because he's one of the few winning lanes we actually have here. In the mid lane, Caps opted for Comet on the Azir as well, and that's something that gives you some extra poking for the lane. But now no flash on BrokenBlade, and Markoon is around the area.
Recalling now. Can just TP back to lane if he wants to, but Cannon Wave there makes it pretty easy for BrokenBlade to pull that one off.
Smart one. He dodges the vision by going for the Flakked and Drak here, and Caps is going to be trying to push this one in. Remember, we talked about the EW flash to root him up here. Let's see if Caps actually oversteps his welcome.
Just used his Soldier. Key opportunity to go in there, but great patience from Caps there. Flashes first and then shifts out. Is going to make it away. And again, this is big because while Markoon has been spending so much time on the map moving to top side looking for a gank, moving to mid looking for a gank, Jankos has just been farming. He's now got a 2-camp lead and will now move up to Scuttle Crab. Yes, Jarvan can get one back, but we've seen what happens when Diana builds up these big CS leads. She can become very powerful very early in the game.
It's the two different stylistics of the champions as well, because Diana has some of the fastest clear in the entire game. She can full clear at 3 minutes, 350, something like that, still be ready for Scuttle to spawn when it finally arrives. So Markoon, yes, he is losing out in that department in terms of tempo to the enemy jungler, but you kind of have to go for plays like this, as we already talked about on the Jarvan. It's about getting your laners ahead like that, but Caps, he played around it beautifully, as already talked about. You have the range to just flash away from the E when W, when Nukeduck flashes forward, and then the E for yourself on Caps, just to dash away when the Jarvan finally came in. It's a 2-for-1 special with the flashes.
Certainly looks good. And we see here on the bottom side, as expected, pretty free lane, pretty tame early lane, short of a jungler showing up here. I think we can expect this to continue, at least until level 6, when Varus ult becomes up and available alongside Yuumi ult. Obviously, a lot of potential CC there, especially if Flakked oversteps. He is cleanseless in this lane, which I think is a fine choice. Having the heal is obviously good, but will make things difficult at level 6.
But I do also want to hone in on the fact from the XL draft that Jarvan is literally the only one who's going to be trying to get something done in the early game. The scaling aspect of how these two compositions functions with each other are just benefiting XL. As the Discord you talked about, Gwen with Yuumi, it's so oppressive playing against. And the fact that Patrik can just scale up for free with what I assume will be the Valée Varus as well once he's gone for that Halo Blades, it's going to be very difficult to play with, because in a straight up team fight where Diana is dashing in, Finn is going to be so huge. There's going to be Spell Vamp, Omni Vamp, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be a Yuumi. Nukeduck's going to be able to kite back on the Ryze as well. And the member who's playing with the long range and Flakked and Caps, I mean, they're going to be fighting that range battle with Patrik on the Varus.
Yeah, and it's certainly not as simple as we saw from the Mad Lions comp. They don't have the Poppy and the Alistair. They're the Tahm, Kench, and the Eat to save one member of their team, and they've got some awesome disengage in the form of the Emperor's Divide, but obviously going to be a little bit harder to execute than what we saw from the Mad Lions in the previous game, just given the lack of comparable tools. That said, we'll just keep track of it for now. Level 5 for both mid laners. It's level 6 coming through shortly. Markoon already got a cat strapped to his back.
It's how you roam as Yuumi. You don't walk out alone. You walk around on your jungler instead.
Jankos here on the bottom side, very important. Targamas could have been in trouble there.
And actually, another thing as well, like if you take a look at the top lane differential.
Okay, wait, hold on. I want to call that out
now.
Yeah, I gotta call this out. Yuumi just said I'm an independent cat, and that is a lie. I just want to be clear. Whoever wrote that voice line, Jared, if you're listening, he's on the narrative team. That line is a lie. She literally has to mount herself to someone.
Oh, you say that. She's quite independent right now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what that gets.
Let's see how that works out.
Oh, okay, it works out fine for now. Yeah, there you go. Independent cat.
Uh-huh.
Still going.
I'm watching.
Yeah, strong. I mean,
I'm watching.
The thing is, Drakos, you can be independent, and it's still okay to rely on other at times. You don't have to fight the struggles of the world all alone.
I agree, Guldborg. Philosophically, I agree, but that is one codependent cat. That is what I will be clear.
Yeah, okay, you know what? That's fair. And you are right. That is for sure correct. But to bring it back to what my initial point was as well, it's the fact that BrokenBlade hasn't gotten to be as oppressive as he would like. And now Finn is sitting at level 6. BrokenBlade rather, is slow pushing a wave into Finn. This is a perfect spot for Finn at the moment.
Yeah, and I think we have to highlight this further as we see a lot of this back and forth trading. Finn playing with a lot of confidence in this lane. And one of the questions that the desk asked was, hey, is he going to be more than just a Kled pocket pick? And in this matchup, where he blind picks the Gwen, where the counter pick comes out from BrokenBlade, him having that early ghost advantage, remember that he built up with that positive trade, him being able to hold his own in this lane is a great sign for Excel moving forward and in this game, because we've seen so many players fall short against G2's seemingly endless supply of BrokenBlade counter picks.
Yeah, 100%. The only problem for Finn right now is he's actually not facilitated by his team and vision. Markoon is finally up here, but ideally, you would have loved to stop this wave right outside of the turret. You would have loved to just pop Ghost and one BrokenBlade down with your ultimate. The problem for him was that you don't have any river vision whatsoever. As you can see, it's completely dark, and therefore you cannot allow yourself to go for the all-in. But Markoon's still in the area. I wonder if he's going to hit 6 here. He's not. No wards from BrokenBlade either. Markoon obviously doesn't know that, but here we go.
Close as he did the 6, Flag and Drag can't come up. BrokenBlade flashing out to safety. Will just heroic swing his way out of that one. Markoon already being spotted now. Makes it pretty easy for him to just walk right back up to this lane, especially with Finn having 0 mana, no Ghost available. At the end of the day, trade of Summoner spells. That ulti going wide on bot side is big. It's a key indicator that Tahm Kench can now go forward. Mikyx only level 5. Level 6 would be big for the Yuumi there, potential to turn, but G2 bot lane holding on pretty well. Curtain Call coming out, I think, just to clear this wave, just to stop any potential dive that could come through.
But look at over the top side as well, because the members are actually cursing around this Rift Herald. Oh, the word for a moment. It actually got taken, yeah. So there we go. From the reset that came through from Finn, Jankos just decided to, all right, I'll sneak the Rift Herald, and despite Markoon and Nukeduck being in the area, they're just not able to punish on it.
And we're in such a very bizarre game state, Guldborg, because you look at Jarvan and you say he has to do something early, right? You look at Diana on the opposite side. You're
Isolated,
like,
yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, well, we're gonna go through it. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm not gonna like just say something wrong and then make you agree with me. I promise.
Well, I would disagree.
I will do my best.
Yeah,
okay, that's good.
On,
all right.
PowerPoint,
Anyway, Jankos power farming, very scary. But Gwen getting to 2 items in a 0-0 game, even more horrifying. So we're in this weird dichotomy where it's like, okay, Markoon, yes, you need to do something. Yes, you are falling behind in the jungle. But is it gonna matter if he just does, if we go 0-0 all the way through and Finn comes online?
I honestly don't think it will matter. I think the Jarvan is great to balance out the early game just a little bit to create some pressure on the G2 laners, but let's be real, the only lane from G2 that was going to be super aggressive in the early game would be BrokenBlade either way. And he's not really been allowed to do that. That's not so much because of Markoon, that's actually just because of Finn's own capabilities up in that top lane.
That's a Hull Breaker around the corner for BrokenBlade. Is going to make him an absolute annoyance in the lane. Gwen does get around a lot of it with some of the clean cuts, true damage that will come through. The sustain as well certainly helps, but BrokenBlade is not going to be a man that can be left alone on a side lane ever. He will shred towers. And that's Nukeduck posturing for the Realm Warp up to the top side. He's going to walk back into mid here. Tahm Kench in the area. Caps can fish for something. Nukeduck senses something's up. Try to zoom out there. Targamas now walking down, Finn walking down, using the heal. He has Summoner Spellbook. He can't just flash over the wall. He's going to be forced to do so. Sliding glide back through, pushing back into Targamas. A nice little licking. Keeps on kicking. That's going to be first blood for Caps.
And it's beautiful from Caps. The great patience waiting around, knowing he has Targamas right around this out. Yes, you can argue that Nukeduck had to flash earlier, but Caps could have been ready with the follow-up flash as well. So therefore, Nukeduck goes down. Great play from the G2 mid laner. He's starting to show up as well in the roads towards playoff.
And this is massive. You hear it for Perks, you hear it for Caps, you hear it for a lot of our all-time legacy players. When will the playoff form come around? When will the best of 5 version of these players that we've seen so many times at international events and in playoffs show up? Caps actually going to get caught out here. Tahm Kench is going to get locked up, which means Azir is still going to get spit out in the midst of the fight, but Tahm Kench changes means that's a very big shield coming through, so Caps will walk away safely. But naturally, while on the side of Excel, we're looking at making the first playoffs ever.
Yeah,
that's the big story. G2's win
Exactly.
means something different. G2 are ramping up, and we're looking to see what they can do in best of 5, because they've already locked playoffs. And of course, if they win here, they're going to lock Fnatic into top 4. So some stakes there, but for Excel, easy to look at what they have coming.
It's not only that, it's the fact that G2 was the specific team that has denied Excel playoffs in the past too. So definitely a little bit of a grudge matchup in between these two teams. And here we have it again, once again, beautiful flash from Caps. Akshan ultimate even coming online as well, just trying to kill steal it as well. Yeah, that's not a happy person in the mid lane there. Nukeduck yelling about that one.
Rito, please, is what that Ryze said. He gets pushed back from over the wall. So far in the early game, 1K gold lead for G2 is certainly not insurmountable. Rocket Belt online for Jankos, though, is a big piece of potential playmaking, and BrokenBlade with a whole breaker on the top side, having a lot easier time sustaining this push, keeping Finn under his tower, something we're going to have to keep track of as we get later and later into the game.
And I would honestly love to see Excel, once they finally get some mid lane priority with the help of the rest of the members, just get some extra vision to Finn, make sure that he can utilize the little lead he had in the early game better. Because right now he is sitting on very defensive items, but once he starts building up that Rift Maker, even Nash's Tooth, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. Caps, though, lurking around the area once again.
Markoon's in the area as well, too. Nukeduck trying to make it out to safety. Yuumi going to try to speed him up, moving out, getting the pop and bop passive. Now Jankos dashing out of the Cataclysm, though. Markoon going to be in trouble. He's got no damage. He's behind in the individual matchup, and it's going to cost him. Jankos healing up from the Triumph. Now the rest of the team retreating. BrokenBlade laying down some good damage. Finn on the backside, but he's not going to be able to do a lot. He just doesn't have enough items. He's leaping in. He's immune, but only for a few more seconds. He needs to get something done rapidly. He's trying to take down Jankos. Now the Yuumi's on top of him. This is going to be big. Finn getting one. Finn looking to get a second one. BrokenBlade goes in, but Finn is just too strong. That is the cat power right there. Mikyx pushing that E button like a madman as Finn tries to get something done, but that is not a strong, independent cat. Mikyx's got no hope without a champion to attach to, or does he? The absolute mad lad. I was wrong. He is a strong, independent cat. He will make it out. His death note will not suffer. Never mind, he's dead. It's, yeah, not a strong, independent cat.
You sold it pretty well for a good amount of seconds there, I'm not going to lie. You had me in the first half. But it's actually really nice played from Mikyx as well, the way he actually got his shield by auto-attacking as well. But all in all, Caps is once again playing these fights beautifully. He's 5-0 on the Azir. Down on the bot side, Flakked. Forced to flash from the Varus ultimate. But it's just messy as well at the same time. And it's Caps, he's actually so smart, he's so sneaky, he's just playing around the fog of war. You'd expect this to be Diana, but it's Caps on the Azir, and these extended fights are exactly what you love, especially when you get Targamas moving up as well. Markoon flashing out, a little bit of a misplay, is only giving Jankos an extra dash to get out of the Cataclysm, but once Finn joins the fight, and once the Yuumi finally connects on it, that's where it starts to get dire.
Nukeduck caught out. G2 starting to pick Excel apart. Mikyx there just in time to stop anything else from going down, but the red buff will go over. Finn moving into the area. Something to keep track of. And Guldborg, we said, watch out for playoff Caps. We saw playoff Caps versus BDS. It was versus BDS,
oh, yeah,
but it was awesome. You know, 7-0-2, you're like, is that the Return of the King? Is that really obnoxiously long Lord of the Rings film? No, that's Caps versus BDS. Here's the problem, is we now have a mysterious fourth Lord of the Rings movie, which is maybe like, I don't know, that series that's about to come out.
Oh, yeah?
That 5-0-0. XL are sweating.
They definitely are.
Caps, not the same Caps we've seen in years past, Guldborg, but I think still at least on a top 3 players you do not want to feed in the LEC list.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's just a fact as well that he's the one that's 5-0 on this team right now. He's the one that's going to be most reliable. You know, Akshan is slowly but surely going to start to fade out, but if Caps get ahead of the curve like they've done now, they get to utilize so much more of that pressure, because that is insta mid lane priority all the time, and the Desk talked about it. Whoever gets to move around on the map and gets to have an influence on the side lane, I mean, no matter the comp in the early game, that's just going to be benefiting you. So Caps being able to just always push Nukeduck in, move around the map, stay in those vision pockets, as we've seen him do twice now, catching XL off guard, forcing them into an unfavorable fight. That's definitely going to take some time before the XL composition gets online, because that's what they want to do. It kind of does outscale the G2 composition, but if Caps gets to be ahead of the curve all the time, it's not going to matter so much.
Certainly terrifying to deal with. See what else Excel can do. Markoon and Mikyx paired up as expected. Patrik with the first item now completed. Look to get aggressive on the bottom side with the dive here, zoning Flakked away. Downside is BrokenBlade. Free to push in that tower. Caps breaking down mid lane. Jankos taking another objective on the top side. Top side is owned by G2. We knew it when we saw the roster, when we saw how they played in the first few weeks, but you were witnessing it firsthand in this game. Total top side domination.
Just like that, mid lane turret taken, top lane turret taken, and it just kind of comes from these kind of win lane, win game kind of moments we see from G2 where the individual shows up in laning phase. That's what we talked about. This is a composition where you can make it work in the laning phase. It's a very difficult window to, and that slim window to get through. But G2 so far they've been able to do so. Caps though, he's got turret to save himself here. It is still a 3 versus 2 situation with the cat on top of Markoon. So let's see how he plays this one out.
Sliding glide out to safety flag, and Drag pushes him away. It's clean so far, but there's just too much CC. Shutdown is massive. Goes over to Mikyx, maybe not the ideal target, but big for Excel nonetheless.
Yeah, that's a statement. That's about Mickey killing his old teammate. We all know that. And that's setting up the Drake instead here. So with mid lane down, the strongest member of G2, Excel should be able to pretty confidently pick this one up, unless that they can do anything about it.
Steal it, he is, and that's going to be the knockup as well. Markoon now in no man's land, getting caught out. Big ulti coming in from BrokenBlade. BrokenBlade going to take down Markoon. G2, not a lot else to push for, but with the wave stacked on the bottom side, maybe they can look to break their 3rd tower of the game.
And you know what? That's on me, because BrokenBlade had roamed down. He didn't want to use the TP to it, because it's only coming up just now. He can TP up towards the top lane if that's what he's looking for, but with the Rift Herald, they're able to get the last outer turret of the game.
And right now, Guldborg, 4K gold lead, 17 minutes in.
Brutal.
Towers being broken down, G2 taking over. We saw a much bigger version of this versus Misfits. G2 threw it away. I have a feeling after that horrendous loss, they will not make the same mistake twice.
And that's the kind of thing, like, G2, sometimes their early game stats doesn't really influence how difficult they are to play in the early game. There's so much pressure playing against these players, especially because of the champions coming out. You get BrokenBlade just being annoying and just playing range top lane. We all know that. If you've ever been a top laner, you know how it feels playing against range top laner. You just don't get to play the laning phase. It's about losing lane and winning the game instead in that instance. Caps on the Azir, 2 items, 17 minutes into the game. Completely amazing performance from him. And it's about just equalizing this gold lead. Even last week when they threw that game to Misfits, if they hadn't thrown that game, we would have said that's the best early game we've seen all year.
Yeah. The big thing for Excel, of course, is they have 3 chances to win to make it to playoffs. We take a look at their remaining schedule. Obviously, the game against G2 today, SK tomorrow, Fnatic on Sunday. A lot of people look at that SK game and say, hey, that's the one. That's the one where we expect you to make playoffs. G2 is hard, Fnatic is hard. That's the one. SK beat Rogue today. This is not an easy road for Excel. They can't afford to lose faith, lose focus for even a moment, because as assured as this felt at the end of Week 7, as this game kicks off, as SK found that upset versus Rogue, again, the doubt starts to creep in if you're an Excel fan. How many times, how many 7ths, 8ths, 9ths, how many failures have we seen over the 3 years Excel have been a part of this league? It's a tough week to play out.
They really shouldn't have signed Caedrel again, should they? But now G2 continuing relentlessly down towards the bot side as well. Going in front against
It's a big combo. Look at the damage coming out from Finn and Nisqy off to the side. Patrik as well just free firing big from the lethality bar. She leaps through Jankos. Jankos getting cut down. Finn on the hunt for BrokenBlade. We wanted to see it, and there it is. Strap a cat to his back. The man's unleashed.
Take it back. They're definitely ready to chase that playoff spot there. What an engage from Markoon there instead. And now Finn finally finished up the Riftmaker, making his ways toward that Gnasher Tooth. Even when you got a Hullbreaker on BrokenBlade on the Akshan, you're not going to be answering Gwen on the side lane in an isolated setting. That champion is just so disgusting. And you best be knowing that he's going to be having the Yuumi on top of him as well.
It's hard. Because here we talked about wombo combos, but this is just clean. Oh, flag drag through 3, snare follow, flash forward from Patrik, aggressive flashes from AD carries. We love to see it. Immediate follow-up damage. It's going to dash through Jankos. I don't really think that does anything, but it looks cool. And sometimes that's what matters.
And it could have been so much worse. They only got 2 of those 4 kills there, but Targamas forced to run out immediately. Did the same together with Caps. Absolute monstrous team fight there from Excel. Barely a team fight, more like G2 just getting engaged on, then trying to scatter afterwards. And now from the posturing of Excel, you can see they've moved in 5 members here. They can allow themselves to do that. They pushed in the bot side. They're going to be trying to regain control of the top side of the map.
It's hard for G2. They need to protect Caps, and that means Targamas needs to sit right next to him and be ready. Caps has tools to disengage, yes, but you saw how quickly that can fall apart when the combos come through. Caps' flash still not up and available. Pressure gone. At the end of the day, 4K gold lead for G2 remains. 1 Drake to 1 Drake. This game looks like it's going to go the distance here. Nukeduck now finishing the Fimbulwinter is big. A lot more tankiness in the fights to come. But for G2, feels like eyes on Caps. He is the sole focus. He is the 5-1-0 Azir. He has more than enough damage to kill everyone on Excel if the setup is there. But setting up against the Gwen, who is so often immune, is much easier said than done.
It would be nice if she didn't have that W ability right now, wouldn't it? But unfortunately she does. That is the harsh reality you have to face. And she's going to be able to deal with the small front line you actually have. So when Jankos jumps in, I mean, if the disengage is there, from the side of XL. He's just going to get absolutely blasted. But now Drake, 30 seconds for what would be the second Drake for both of these teams will be spawning. And currently, a lot of the vision is in priority of XL. They're going to be pushing in the bot side now, or mid lane rather as well, deal with the pink wards. Just get a little bit of vision around that Baron area, so G2's not all of a sudden just going to be threading a cheese Baron.
Both teams actually Baron pretty quickly. Akshan and Azir, obviously very good Baron duo. Diana as well. Gwen, Ryze, very solid. Varus, normally very good. Obviously, the Valée Varus, a little bit worse. Doesn't quite get as much value out of the W passive. But Poke now coming down mid lane. Both teams fishing for setup. G2, 5 members just bowling their way in, taking control of that mid wave and moving down to the Drake. Now, Finn's already started this one, but obviously doesn't have a smite. Jankos now wrapping around, maybe fishing for an angle into the pit. Second Drake for either team. Who's it going to go to? Keeping track of it. This time, Markoon's going to steal it. Jankos got the last one. Caps waiting as long as he can to shuffle out to safety. Jankos caught up, locked up. There's the Yuumi ult now going forward. One member at a time, just getting snared. The Ignite now taking down on the Finn. Jankos looking for the turn bar, looking for an opportunity. The Finn is gone. Patrik now running. Mikyx strapped to his back, but it's not enough. Markoon has to run as well. Nukeduck off to the side. It was a split fight, but XL falling to pieces. We thought maybe the Yuumi would be unstoppable. Nukeduck now getting chased down, and G2 proving again why they are so good in these tense moments.
And just like that, Nukeduck, he tries to realm mob into the backline. But once he does it, G2, they see that moment immediately, and they just dive into the backline. Brilliant turnaround from Jankos in a situation where XL felt so comfortable. So yes, XL, they pick up the Drake. But all of a sudden, Baron is on the cards. Markoon is alive, no flash, but Yuumi is on top of him. Let's see if he can get in.
Markoon, you stole a dragon just moments ago. Flag over the wall, Caps just walking. TP now coming in. Maybe they can win the fight even if they can't take the Baron. Markoon's sticking around. 5 members of G2 though. Finn in the area. They don't have a lot of cooldowns left to take down Finn. Targamas is just going to get chased down here and taken out, but only a single Baron removed. 4 Barons still up for the side of G2. That is a massive win.
Yeah, and a 6k gold lead that's all of a sudden built up. They can start playing more towards those side lane as we see with BrokenBlade now. Kraken Slayer, Hullbreaker as well. You're going to need multiple members down towards him, or at least the Gwen and Yuumi, but once you diverse those members down to one side of the map, the other side of the map all of a sudden is going to be left weaker. And when you're sieging up against Baron up empowered minions with an Azir with 3 items, one of them being the Void Sap now as well, you're going to be taking quite amount of damage.
Guldborg,
Drakos.
It's a very important game, but despite that, I'm going to make a Death Note reference. Did you watch Death Note? Everyone's made it.
I have until that. Okay, I'm not.
Okay, yeah, you have. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm wondering what Mickey wrote in the book. Because if he wrote craps, it looks like he might have wrote
that might have been the mistake.
Because this man is claps, and Mickey sure as hell didn't get those Shinigami eyes, and it might cost him. Jankos gonna get caught out. Good damage, good follow-up. Flakked can throw down the curtain call from over the wall. He's gonna look to lay down a bit of damage, but he's very close to that Gwen. He has to be careful. Targamas being taken down early in the fight is massive. Markoon blocking up 2, but BrokenBlade off to the side. It's big damage. He's taking down Patrik. He's taken down the carry, and now Caps is on the hunt. Big damage, but the soldiers are not in position. He'll push him back into position. It's clean from Caps. G2 making it work. Multiple members down. Baron buffed up, barreling down the mid lane.
Darkest timelines where Krabs has been eliminated from existence, and it's only Caps back 7-1 on the Azir. Absolute monstrous performance today. And we talked about the draft as well. It was weird from G2. It was difficult to pilot. They don't care about that. They have the individuals to do it. And XL, they're going to be losing their mid lane inhibitor now.
Oh, and I wonder if doubt starts to set in. Again, 2 more chances for XL. A single win will lock them into playoffs. They need to find it. SK, Fnatic, the 2 teams that stand in front of them. They still have hope in this game, but they are now 8k behind in terms of the gold. They've got a dragon, but not a whole lot else. Caps is only getting scarier. Flakked is now caught up 3 items. You take a look at Patrik, it's not even really 2 fully completed as he's still waiting to stack that tier. So while the Yuumi is great, it works great with the Gwen, the rest of the team, dragon behind in this game.
And it's so difficult as well because it's not a just straight up front to back team fight you're having. It might be now. Caps getting engaged on.
More in. Caps getting pushed back, but there's a tower right there. They're fighting under the Azir tower. Markoon instantly going to get deleted. Finn trying to heal him as much as he can, stacking up the clean cucks, but he just gets stuck down. Caps is a monster. It's a triple kill. BrokenBlade now on the hunt, looking to lock him down with the ultimate. The minion's going to block a few shots. Patrik will not get hit by the deadly flourish. Caps is simply too strong. XL are too far behind.
20-second death timers as well. They might just try and go for an end.
G2 Eyes on the prize, can't afford another screw-up, cannot afford to have another game turned against him like the Misfits one. Curtain call comes out, Patrik not a lot of room to play. Nukeduck has to body block, but he can't body block the last one. He'll go down. Oh no, it's a tragedy. Excel will have to wait at least another day for their first playoffs. It's been 3 years, 1 month, and 17 days since they joined the league, and they're gonna have to wait at least one more because G2 are unleashed, and the death note will mean nothing. Mikyx will be stopped, and G2 will obliterate Excel in this matchup. 10-1-6. Claps is back, baby. G2 will take the win.
That's the thing, 10 kills in a competitive game like this that only lasted 26 minutes? I mean, that's really impressive. Caps definitely building up momentum towards playoffs. That is... Oh, they're out Bay playing basketball again!
It's not 1 a.m. It's 9:43, but that's late enough.
You don't want to mess with G2 now. Not only are the athletes, gamers on the Rift, but also out. They're away from it now.
It's true. And with that, G2's win has locked Fnatic into top 4. Big deal, there's only 1 spot in top 4 remaining, as the previous games result locked Misfits. So Misfits, Fnatic, and Rogue are all locked in top 4. There's 1 spot in top 4 remaining. Massive, because that is the top side of a pseudo double elimination bracket. Key player of the game, though, at LEC on Twitter, Jankos, Caps, Targamas are your options.
I wonder. I genuinely wonder.
Who could they vote for?
I don't know.
They're independent people. We need to let them make their own decision.
No, not this one. You know what to do.
But in case you are visually impaired, Caps is the answer. After the break, we're going to learn from the victorious Targamas, and Caedrel will break down Caps' early game on the Azir. Stay tuned.
I can't believe you've done that.